understanding what are the AI workflows and automations that we can bring into our current production and our current processes to make what we do more efficient, better, smarter, and faster, right? Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's Friday SEO Tip, which today we're going to be covering why it is extremely important that in 2026, everyone focus on AI integration. It really comes down to this is that turning point where companies and agencies that really learn how to implement AI into what they do are essentially going to dominate moving forward, or at least they're going to have a much bigger advantage over companies and over their competitors that are not implementing AI. One of the things that Chris talked about a while back was, it's extremely important for us to have an AI task force. And this was almost over a year ago. And an AI task force is what? Is either a person or a department or a group of people that are really 100% focused on understanding what are the AI workflows and automations that we can bring into our current production and our current processes to make what we do more efficient, better, smarter, and faster, right? And the importance of having an AI task force is because if you don't, this AI integration almost becomes kind of a second thought. And because all of us have so many different fires to put out and so many hats to wear at the same time, we end up not focusing on what is really, really important, which is really thinking about how on a daily basis we want to integrate and optimize our services. Chris goes to a lot of conferences where he speaks and he attends, and we see a lot of other agencies there. And a lot of these agencies, we see that they're on two sides of the spectrum, right? Some of them are very slow to adapt to AI, right? They're still learning the copy and paste into ChatGPT and not using it correctly and so forth. These guys are at an extreme disadvantage, right? For obvious reasons, because other agencies are going to become a lot better and more efficient. On the other side of the spectrum, we have agencies that are overusing AI and overusing it in the wrong way, right? An example of that is I've seen clients, for example, that say, oh no, since ChatGPT came out, now we're posting 50 blog posts every month. And obviously that is not a good thing, right? Because one of the things that Google really doesn't want is anyone to flood the internet with more crap content, right? So there's a very specific way to use AI to craft content. So one of the things that we really found that works extremely well for us is in that spectrum. In the middle, there's a sweet spot, which is human driven, AI assisted, right? And it's a very multi-layered step where we're leveraging AI to do the things that it does best with the research and the speed of creating little, bringing different pieces together and the access that it has to so much information. And then we have a human that's actually managing and monitoring that system to make sure that we're creating thought leadership pieces in addition to a lot of other optimizations and processes, right? Now, when I talk about agencies, I'm talking about us as an agency with where we have our other agency competitors. But this is true for any business, right? If you're a small business, if you're a brick and mortar business, an online store, this whole concept of having an AI task force is extremely important that you understand. Now, the other thing, if you are a small company like ourselves, you are in a true advantage, right? Why? Because we, as small companies, have the ability to be very fast, very nimble. We don't have to deal with bureaucracy, right? And that allows us to implement things quickly on a weekly basis, change processes, change directions, bring in new softwares, new systems. Whereas in these big companies and big agencies, they have this whole bureaucracy process that it needs to be approved by this department, created by IT, implemented, trained, so forth. And unfortunately for them, in this landscape that we live on today, moving that slow makes absolutely no sense, right? Because by the time that something gets through that pipeline into implementation, it's already outdated. And that happens in a matter of a month. 2 months, right? This is one of the craziest times in in my experience running an agency because Back in the days, let's say 10 years ago, our job was to create a process and stick with that process and get really good at using that process and not deviate from that process. Now that has completely changed, right? Because now we do something with a specific workflow, with a specific AI agent, but in 2 weeks, there's going to be a better system and a better platform and maybe a better agent that's going to do that for us. And we need to be able to adapt quickly on a weekly basis. Again, that's why it is so important to have an AI task force. So one of the things that you can do right now where you're at, open up Google and search for the keyword SEO price guide. Depending on where you are, you might see different things, but for the most part, we have an article that we created using this human-driven process, leveraging AI, that ranks number one. You'll see that we come up number one, the Boulder SEO Marketing, as the first organic result. We also come up usually number one as the first website where AI Overview is getting the information. And the reason I use this as example is for us, SEO price guide, huge keyword, super competitive, super targeted. And this is something that we created in a matter of weeks. This thing was ranking where it's ranking today. So when you use AI correctly, bringing in all of the different elements of growing authoritativeness and focusing on EEAT, it really, really, really works, right? And essentially what my job is on a daily basis is we look at our time tracking for our team. We look at what are the processes that we're manually doing today, and we get the processes that we feel could benefit from using AI or the processes that take way too long. And then I focus on what is the solution to make sure that we implement AI in there or create a virtual employee to do that process better. So essentially on a daily basis, we're creating awesome AI employees to either assist our team or support our team in doing what they do, right? Now, so for example, one of the other things as an example, right? It's not just about creating deliverables for our clients. We're using right now, I'm actually in the process of creating an AI agent that is going to, number one, document all of these processes that our team needs to follow. And number two, it's going to actually get all of these processes and upload them to a software. We use Thinkific for training, and it's going to create all of the chapters and the training documents and so forth. This is something that if I had a team or a person do, it would probably take weeks to do, create, upload, make sure it's in place. By using this AI employee, we're doing this in a matter of hours. In a matter of hours, this whole system is created. And most importantly, this AI agent now, anytime that there's a change in what we do, we upload what that change is as a transcript to this AI employee, and the AI employee automatically goes there and updates the whole training manual. So when we're bringing in new employees, they're always trained with the latest information, and a notification goes out to all of our team members to make sure that they know what this new system or this new process is, right? Think about doing this with a person. You would have to have almost somebody that would be full-time training, documentation, and uploading content and notifying team. Whereas when we created this AI agent now does all of that faster, better, and while we're sleeping, right? This is the beauty having these AI agents. So it's really not about, how can we implement all of this new technology that everyone's talking about? It truly comes down to survival, right? There's companies that are really embracing it and doing correctly. They're going to be able to surface on the top because if you're using this technology right, you're going to be creating and you're going to be moving forward in a much more efficient way, right? So this is why this is something that is not only so important for us, this is something that we bring to the table and we talk about with our clients, that embracing AI is essentially a decision about survival as we move into 2026 and into the future. So with that being said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to reach out. If you have any questions on how you as a company can integrate AI into what you do, that's a big thing that we do as part of, helping you understand what's out there and what's the best applications for your business. So with that being said, I hope everybody has an amazing Friday and have a great weekend.